Tervist!
Hello, my presentation, the title is in front of you. Light pollution from satellite pictures in Tallinn and in two other cities. This analysis is based on statistics. It gives an overview. We are pointing at some shortcomings, but yes, in principle, in order to carry out the analysis of satellite pictures, we know that data is collected with two systems, or actually were used since 2012. This information comes from VIRS system, Visible Infrared Imaging Radiometer Suite system. And its advantage is that it enables better resolution, data is more precise in comparison to the previous DMSP system, Defense Meteorological Satellite Program Operation System. And also the LED lighting measurement results can be 30% lower than in reality. The reason is that the sensitivity of VIRS system is lower in lower wavelengths, so it's less than 500 nanometers. And this is the spectrum of light. Well, it is blue. The methodology that we chose the past 10 years, namely 2012 until 2022. The data is available from last year, not yet from this year. And this time frame in VIRS satellite system, the measurement areas are highlighted in red, so you can understand the basis for the statistics. We chose 2, 5, 10 kilometer radius areas, depending on the areas. In Tallinn, we selected 6 areas, the center and residential areas, Lasnamäe, Nõmme, Mustamäe. And comparison cities were chosen also Turku from Finland and Göteborg from Sweden. The reason why we selected these cities was that they should be on the same, more or less the same latitude, that they are close to the sea, and they are more or less the same size as Tallinn. And the measurement areas, 2, 5, 10 kilometer radius, that visually they would be located in the center of light pollution areas. We took a look at 3 areas in Tallinn. And as could be predicted, the center and 2 residential areas, high-rise buildings, not too much greenery, and also active construction work. And construction work, of course, we also can see light advertisements, not so much on facades, but certainly street lights are being renovated. And what is obvious from this graph is that trying to point out the trend here, that the influence of COVID is clearly visible. And as a result of COVID, light pollution diminished. But after COVID, in 2022, we witnessed a very rapid increase. When we take Nõmme, Õismäe, Haabersti residential areas, they are less polluted. And we can also say that light pollution is connected with real estate development. And also it is connected with street light design and in general construction activities. And one reason why light pollution is lesser there is that the density of population is not so high, but there are also more trees and more greenery. And what is significant about Nõmme residential area is that there are forest areas which are not lit. And this in urban area, it is very important to have parks or forest areas so as to promote natural diversity and also to diminish light pollution. So perhaps we should not develop the city as a center, but it should be more suburban. And light pollution trends in different places of Tallinn. We have selected certain spots depending on the focus area of the light pollution area. And these have been listed. Red numbers, the center, Lasnamäe, Mustamäe residential areas. And in comparison with other areas, the difference is twofold, threefold, even fourfold. And what we can say about Tallinn, we have two wonderful pictures here. You can see a drone picture, or let's say a plane view, and then a satellite picture. So what is light pollution in fact? But to sum up about Tallinn, we can say that during COVID period, where people were less mobile, it had a very clear impact. It doesn't mean that we have to hide ourselves in buildings and stay there. Of course, there are other measures to be adopted. But what was obvious from the panorama measurement and also satellite pictures is that the center, the harbor area, and this light pollution has to be measured properly and analyzed in order to give recommendations and to limit light pollution. Certainly, we cannot do it roughly or let's say using by strength that we just switch off lights, but we should analyze technological and economically most viable solutions. And also green areas, trees, parks. In such areas, light pollution is lesser, and this should be taken into account when planning our city. I would like to say that in the course of this project, I contacted very many people from different districts of Tallinn, and also those so-called suburban areas. People feel that they slowly become let's say, high-rise areas with residential buildings, apartment houses. Suburbs should remain suburbs. Suburbs should remain suburbs. And all design and replacement with LED technology could lead to the increase in light pollution. LED technologies are relatively new. We know relatively little about it, but in the course of this project, our aim was to show the negative aspects of LED lighting. Marketing people, they want to bring out the positive side, but scientists have to also balance the attitudes and also point out the negative aspects. Traffic density, something also that affects light pollution. And in our case, in our northern area, snow, a lot of snow, causes also light pollution, and therefore we may take into consideration different and totally new light solutions. And what Martin pointed out in his presentation, that certain colors also impact biodiversity. Certain colors are more visible. For example, this red color that we enjoy when we enjoy sunsets. But this wavelength that we can sense during sunset, it is also called sometimes, let's say, happiness feeling psychologically, and such warmer lights and technologies. That could enable less reflection and mirroring. But reflection from snow, of course, this cannot be avoided, but we can diminish it by using different colors. Or we could introduce two colored solutions. Satellite pictures from 2012, 2017 and 2022, Tallinn, Turku and Göteborg. We're going to also take a look at the solutions in other cities. Now trying to figure out how to best show you this simulation. In principle, in 2017, yes, well, you can see that the number of the year changes. So when I click on the picture, then the number of the year changes, and you can see that light pollution increases. Thank you for this technical solution. Yes. So you can see it's visible, or the areas in where light pollution increases, these are visible. What we can conclude, or what is visible from these comparisons, is that Turku trend has been stable, but in 2022 there was a rapid increase. Why? We have to study it more in depth. We cannot tell that at the moment. The analysis ended before we got the data from 2022. But Göteborg light pollution has not changed significantly. In Tallinn, the trend is manifold, and in 2022 the increase was the most rapid, and this is food for thought for us. And we can see that we have taken a smaller radius, medium, and then wider radius. In Göteborg, 2 kilometers, light pollution actually declined significantly visible. That is the trend, a general trend in Göteborg. What we can conclude is that we, in our follow-up study, we should analyze the experience of Turku and Göteborg, what they have done or what they have left undone. Maybe they have not been so eager in their renovation, or on the contrary, they have renovated more wisely their street lights. And these are the aspects we need to analyze further. And we have to compare ourselves with other Nordic cities. Their light pollution should be higher, because in Turku one might expect that they have more snow because it's more towards the north. But Tallinn can be compared best perhaps with well, we had this correlation analysis, and it turned out that we cannot compare ourselves with Göteborg, but we can match our data with Turku, which is the nearest to us in terms of light pollution. 0.7 is an ideal correlation, and higher numbers are even better. To sum it up, comparison in Tallinn, light pollution has increased very rapidly, or the most rapidly, and Tallinn city planning is not as advanced as in other countries. And we should not destroy our suburbs and build apartment buildings. I live in Kristiine district, which is one of those worst examples. Kristiine is becoming Mustava. There are no parks, you cannot move around, there is no fresh air, and plants and trees enable us to solve this problem. But to diminish light pollution, to have better quality air, and therefore parks and the maintenance of parks and reconstruction of parks, we need to point out that this is a really good example, and it is successfully done also in Tallinn. And this is something that we should engage ourselves in the future. At the same time, it is sad to note, and that what we can conclude is that light pollution in Tallinn, comparing with Turku and Göteborg, has increased 3 times. Are we being too centralized, or maybe we should expand? We should, have more suburban areas, but this means different communication systems. Also different infrastructure, schools that would sustain the population and cater for the inhabitants. And the study in Göteborg is significant. I don't have much to add, but again, critically, we have to adopt a very critical view. Thank you.
Aitäh sulle, Argo.
Thank you, Argo, for this exciting presentation and for all these pictures and comparison. The example of Göteborg is truly something that deserves to be explored in depth. A quick estimate, you as a scientist, what is your hypothesis? How closely is it connected with the general economic level of the country? Or economic growth and light pollution, how do they compare? Well, scientists cannot give estimates. I have a problem. I overthink about the problem, so therefore it is difficult for me to give you an answer. I cannot say, and I don't want to speculate either. There could be many reasons. One reason could be that perhaps we, in our city planning, not in terms of economic growth or development, maybe in our city planning we are too liberal. And maybe other Nordic countries and cities are more conservative in their city planning. And from this angle, I could say that perhaps a rich country does not invest so much. Maybe they invest more wisely. And maybe these countries are richer than we are. Well, this is a very intriguing response. Thank you very much. But questions from the audience?
Thank you. So I'm Henrika Pihlajaniemi from University of Oulu from Finland, and we have their Safe and Sustainable Darkness Research Project, and we have also used that same satellite image information net And I think that's a nice platform. So I just, it came to my mind as I know Turku quite well and have been there quite often because I'm originally from there. So it happens that it changes the snow cover very much from year to year. And I think 2022 was actually there was quite long periods of snow, which is not very common. So have you been kind of comparing this aspect? I mean, the days of snow cover, how do they correlate with those data of light pollution? Because of course that has quite big impact if there is snow or not.
No, we have not compared it. But I think in that sense that we are almost in the same area. But I think that snow covering in both cities, Turku and Tallinn, is probably quite similar. We are near to the sea, so sea affects the snow covering also in the city. So from this point of view, I don't think that snow covering was, for example, less in Turku than in Tallinn. I mean in context that let's justify that in Tallinn is this light pollution higher because the snow covering was longer. I don't believe that. I think it is similar. But maybe in Göteborg, I think there the sea effect to the snow covering is probably a little bit higher. Göteborg is more near to the, golf, see on see hoovus. Golfihoovus, ühesõnaga, et Göteborg on natuke lähemal kui golfihoovus.
So Göteborg is nearer to Gulf currents, and therefore the climate plays a more significant role on snow covering, but we did not analyze that. Because this project was divided into two major stages and two aspects, so maybe the follow-up period should take into account this snow factor. It would be interesting.
Continuation question. Have you noticed in the data the effect of changing from mercury lamps to LEDs, for example? So because mercury lamps are those who dim very in a large period of time, and then actually the amount of light which is coming is very minimum, and then if they are changed to LED, that is a very huge increase of light.
We don't have at this point data how much reconstructions were made in Turku or in Göteborg. We know only how much was reconstructed in Tallinn, and I know that the reconstructions in Tallinn have increased a lot, so it can be the cause of this light pollution increase from that we have taken in use a lot of LED lamps, but at this stage of the study we cannot say. We probably need in next stage of study visit also the Göteborg, Turku, maybe municipalities, and have the better overview what they have at all made to hold this light pollution on low level or quite stabilized or balanced through the last 10 years. Maybe they don't have made anything. This is, so.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I think your presentation was really interesting.
Yes, thank you. Võtame veel ühe küsimuse, palun.
One more question. We have time for that.
First of all, thank you for interesting presentation. It came in my mind that John Portal created this 9-step scale to measure the sky globe. Have you studied it? That could it be used showing that which part of the city are the most creating that waste light?
I'm not sure I understood the question well, but I think in my presentation I showed in these regions of city we have the highest increase. So if I take this picture, here we can see quite well that, in which city regions we have the highest increase of.
Exactly that I meant. So what came in my mind that now when you are studying like on the top, have you started to measure the sky globe like from the ground? And there is that John Portal has created that 9-step scale called Portal scale, where is a step like 1 is like a perfect natural sky.
Martin, maybe you want to answer to this question? Okay.
This, I think, will be also come up in our next presentations. Our colleague from municipality, Eva Tallo, is talking about the questionnaire, and this is the aspect what we use the Portal scale for the to prepare the methodology for this questionnaire, and this is the goal also to look from down to up and to see. From astronomers' perspective, because this Portal scale was developed for the astronomers' definition of light pollution, and we also included in questionnaire questions about how you can see the sky. We did a little bit of changing because to ask from ordinary people about 1 to 9 scale, they may get confused, and I don't want to say modernized, we made it easier because we have to have a lot of data to make some kind of decisions, and this will be explained later, I hope.
So short answer is we plan to do this study.
Aitäh, suur tänu, Argo Rosin.